everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 7 of Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku, and it is a little bit chilly today, so I am a little bit more bundled up than usual, but I'm really excited. The last two episodes, episodes 5 and episode 6, mwah, loved them. Absolutely loved them. Episode 5, Meeting Now, was so good, and last week with the Kabadon and everything else, it was just so good. So, I do have some comments from episodes 4 and episode 5 from YouTube as well as Patreon that I want to talk about before we dive in, and give some thanks to Patreon as well. So let's just go ahead and do that. I want to give a special thanks, as my dogs are barking at my feet, for our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. They donate a little bit extra each month, and with it being around the holiday season, that is so incredibly appreciated. Thank you so much to Patreon for supporting my channel, for helping to fund it and fund the reactions, the reviews, the subscriptions that I do, everything. So I want to give a shout out to our philanthropy tier because they get shout outs in my videos because they donate a little extra each month. And that includes Alex Cornejo, Be Happy, Dana, Damage3245, Devorin, Daniel, Destiny Marie, Eric, Ichu, Faisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, as well as Lyndon, Murphy, Willie Morris, Translucent Men, Sunspots, Shimoyama, as well as James, Diana Williams, and Care Susar. Thank you so much for all of your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So let's get into those comments real quick before we start this. I had two for episode 4. One was from Bunizu that said, by the way, I was wondering if you were planning on reading the manga after this and the OVAs. I do want to address, because I don't know if I addressed it well enough in the last, I forgot about talking about the OVAs in the last reaction. So I am planning right now to be doing the OVAs and the anime. I know there are 3 OVAs. I'm watching all 11 episodes of the anime. I'm going to watch the 3 OVAs. As for the manga, and this is why I responded with Benizi with, I need to finish at least one of the other manga that I'm reacting to on the channel right now. So whether that's Cherry Magic, whether that is Given, well, Given is about to wrap up, but whether it's Cherry Magic, or I also need to wrap up Yona coming soon. Mainly when I get done with Cherry Magic, I will consider Wotakoi, but I need to get through that first. So it's not a no, it's just Romania's schedule does not have time for it at this moment. And I'm actually going to be double dipping in January. When I get to the 3 OVAs, there'll be a new series starting at the same time. It's going to be a lot. But I'm not saying no to the manga, just please have patience and show support that you want to read the manga reactions. That's the big thing, is that I want people to be able to read and watch and comment alongside me. So that gives me incentive to do it as well. So just let me know if you're interested in that. If you're interested in me doing like a manga review, like I've done with Cherry Magic. If nobody's interested in it, then it's like, I don't know. You know, they take a lot of time to do and construct. So I want to make sure that people are actually going to be tuning in and checking those out as well. So with that being said, Jim Hases for episode 4 said, they talked about Kabakura, and I'm going to reach down here and get Huckleberry's toy, and Kabakura and kind of some of the nuances that don't translate well. And so I thought their comment on YouTube was really important, but I wanted to highlight them saying, even if the main issue about their relationship is kind of rocky due to some stuff they're not actually addressing with each other, it's still conveyed effectively. And yeah, episode 4, I was really nervous about Kabakura and his character. I was like, oh, I don't know how this character's going to go. People have said they really like him. I don't know. And then by the time episode 6 happened and episode 5, I thought, okay, no, I like him. No, I feel like episodes 5 and 6, once you put Now into the equation, it really helped to highlight what kind of character Kabakura is and what type of person he is. And I was like, okay, I get what his deal is. I get what he's laying down. I'm fine with that now. I understand it. Like, they still have lots of work to do as a relationship, but aren't all relationships like that? So, you know. But thank you, J.M. Hases, for pointing that out. S Anime with episode 5 says, I don't know if you picked up on this, but Now is voiced by Yuki Kaji. And I was like, ah! So while there are 1 or 2 characters that come close to Naoya, he is the most wholesome, I believe, voiced by Yuki Kaji. Now just got added to the opening, so don't worry, you didn't miss him. Yuki Kaji's amazing. Yuki Kaji he's Eren from Attack on Titan. He is a very good pitcher in Ace of the Diamond. He's voiced a lot of characters, but it's really interesting because now I would not have pegged as being Yuki Kaji. Now I have to listen because now is like literally the most wholesome character I've ever seen Yuki Kaji play. I was like, oh, you are a far cry from some of his other characters that he's gotten the chance to be. So now I have to listen extra close if we see now again in the series. I hope we do, because now I want to listen. If not, I need to go back and listen to those episodes again. But thank you, S-Anime, for pointing that out. And then CD, I liked this comment they said for episode 5. You just feel like you want to meet up with these characters and hang out playing games over a good hot pot after a day at the office. I remember thinking when I started watching Wotakoi the first time, it's a nice show. It's nice to watch a show that is not set in high school or college, where the main characters are working adults, but ones who still enjoy their hobbies. I love this. I think that's one of the things I love most about this series so far is kind of what CD says. And that's the idea that these are all characters that you'd want to be around. You know, in some anime I watch, there are characters who are kind of over the top and crazy. And I'm like, these are really cool fictional characters, but I would not want to be around them in the real world. You know, sometimes you see a character and you're like, we would not be able to hang out. But with these characters, especially Narumi and Hirotaka, I would hang around. Here's the thing. I would love to be around Hirotaka and Narumi, but I also would want to kind of be there around Kabakura and Hanako, even though they're dramatic. They're kind of just over the top. So they're just characters you want to know. I love that. So that's awesome. Thank you, CD, for that comment. I really appreciate it. But yeah, also a special shout out to Sunspots. I realized that Sunspots has been getting me like the episodes without ads like 2 in a row. And I realized this morning, I was like, oh, I don't have episode 7. I was like, oh no. So I messaged them on Discord and was like, hey, it's no rush. I'll watch something else today. But if you get the time, would you be able to send me the other episode? And they went ahead and sent me all the rest of them. And I was like, so I am set now for episodes 7 through 11. I'm so excited. So thank you, Sunspots. You are amazing. Thank you so much for being my anime dealer when it's required. I really appreciate that. But anyway, here I'm so ready to beat the cold outside by watching an episode of Wotakoi. So with that being said, we are going to start episode 7 of Wotakoi Love is Hard for an Otaku. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do it to it, Lars. This was such a good episode, but then what's new? I loved this episode so much. It was so cute. Definitely a lot of interesting discussions. I feel like a lot of what is brought up in the dinner scene with the coworkers and brought up between Koyanagi and Narumi is definitely very Japanese culture-esque because, I mean, we think of otaku in America. It is a little bit culturally different, I feel like. I feel like nerd or geek is kind of adjacent to it, but it's not really synonymous, you know what I mean? So there's definitely parts of the culture that feel like they're more in tune. If you were in Japan, you'd resonate more with it. And I'm coming from it at a Western perspective, but still, really cute episode. I want to talk about each of the characters involved with it. I feel like getting a Kabakura focus in this episode was a lot of fun, especially because he's a character that I've wanted to have more focus with as we've moved on. I do not play Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before, but I know of it and I have friends that have played it. I know the mechanics of it. I know of the series Critical Role. I know how that works. Matthew Mercer, mwah. But I do know of some of the classes, mainly because of League of Legends. I watched Arcane on my channel, and Arcane deals with some classes like that. And my brother's a big gamer, and he's watched Critical Role. He's played League of Legends, so he kind of knows the classes and things like that. My brother's a mage. 100% black mage. I would probably be a mage too. If I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably be a mage. I'd probably be white mage. Nobody F's the white mage, as Dragon Ball Z's abridged says. But yeah, I'd probably be a mage. I like characters that use magic, like wizards, and so I'd probably be a wizard. That'd probably be my classification. I am assuming that Kabakura is a paladin. or just a warrior, maybe warrior class. But he has a sword, and he's just Kabakura is very stereotypical. Again, he kind of wants to fit into that general masculine archetype, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not a misogynist asshole. There's nothing wrong with that. So I feel like he wants to be like the traditional like masculine guy and fit into that trope. And so that's why he's got like the sword, very Ichigo coded from Bleach, although these monsters look like something out of Soul Eater or Digimon. And then he does like the little cut through and everything. It's super cute. And goes after these Bitcoin looking coins that we have here. Let's get past the introduction. So yes, everybody comes in. I think it's worth noting that in order of experience, Hirotaka has maxed out because Hirotaka is the gamer. Narumi is the second at like level 82, like second highest she's played, which makes me also kind of like the fact that she either one has played alongside Hirotaka and they've had like couples time playing, or because they grew up together, they always played the games together, and so they're used to it that way. That there could be a connection with that. But Kabakura has played for a while. I think it's interesting at how cute he views Narumi. Like, she is definitely like, from the physical aspect, she's his type. He likes like the cute, more demure. It's just what I like about this series is that it shows that whatever your type is not necessarily who you're going to be romantically attracted to, even if you are physically attracted to, because I'm physically attracted to like tall, or at least I think I am, tall, blonde, blue-eyed, but most of the people that I've been on dates with are shorter, dark-haired, dark-eyed. So it's like, that didn't matter. It didn't matter, but it was really their personality that made the difference. Their personality did the trick. And so I was like, okay, so if you think of it that way, yeah, sure, there are types that you find aesthetically pleasing, and Narumi's physicality is what Kabakura physically finds appealing, but then he's dating Kayonagi because he likes her personality and because they gel and because they have a connection, you know? And I feel like so often it tracks with like the younger generation where they're like, here are my laundry list of things that I want in a partner. And a lot of them are like physical things. But then when you meet somebody, it's like you may meet somebody you become attracted to or that you connect with that doesn't necessarily fit what you thought you wanted. And a lot of people waste those opportunities to make a connection with somebody because they're like, oh, well, that's not who I'm normally attracted to. You can't always pick those things. Sometimes you just like somebody and connect with them regardless, you know? And I think that should be encouraging to people because a lot of people are like, oh, well, that person's not going to like me because I don't look like this. And the reality is, yeah, you may not look like that, but they may still like you. I mean, you know? So I also like that even though Kabakura is like, has a crush on the physical type that Narumi is, Narumi doesn't have a crush on Kabakura. She's just like, oh, that's fun. He's a nice guy. I like that about her. She's like, no. It's interesting because her and Hirotaka, neither of them have really shown attraction towards the other person. Like, Hirotaka's not been like goo gagaing over Kiyonagi. He's just kind of gone along with the guys that say that about her boobs. But Kiyonagi is kind of like goo gaga over Hirotaka's type, much to Kabakura's chagrin. So, you know, that's interesting to see the duality and the differences with the couples. So also, Narumi beating the allegations. She seems cutesy, but the people at work say she's lazy or not a good worker. She seems like she'd be a little summoner elf, but she's an assassin. I love it. I love that she's an assassin. It's so cute. And so yeah, she's a high level. She's at level 82. He's at level 67. The reason she's at level 82 is because she's greedy. She goes after she grinds through all of the possible opponents because she wants to collect as much money as possible. Hirotaka seems like he kind of does the same, so that's funny. And so one thing that was interesting is that, you know, Kabakura's like, oh, you know, Hanako's taking a bath right now, so she's not joined us. And it's like she's sitting there in this tub, like taking a nice steamy bath. And I'm like, my dude, the lady of your dreams is right there and you're playing this online game. But fair, she probably just wanted her quality time in the bath. So I'm not getting on to him for that. It's just kind of funny. Whenever he says she's easily influenced by others, I thought that was interesting. But he's like, well, she might look stubborn, but she's easily influenced by others. And I think he kind of like chuckles at that. And he kind of like likes that about it. The way he's just sitting there like whimsically looking off into the distance, being like, maybe seeing you guys playing the games made her jealous and she wanted to join in. Like, he likes that about her. He likes that she's maybe a little jealous. He likes that she's influenced by him and others. Like, he likes that about her. And it's kind of cool to see Kabakura express some softness to his character. And the fact that he's doing this in an online game, maybe it's easier for him to express himself like this because he's not face to face talking to somebody about it. He can kind of be a little bit whimsical looking at it, you know, from an outside lens, you know. Also, Narumi's little red glasses are adorable. Her little blue light glasses are so cute. I love them. And so then they get joined by Kyunagi. I love her design. The mage design with the witch's hat and the off-the-shoulder dress. I would cosplay as that in a heartbeat. I don't have big boobs, but I would cosplay as that because it's really cool. Yeah, I love that they're like, take a screenshot. I also love that Narumi's like, take the screenshot. Like, her voice like dropped an octave when she said that. That was really funny. I love it. But yeah, so you can tell that Kyunagi doesn't play as much. They're getting there. Hirotaka's not there yet. And then this giant like monster comes in like Final Fantasy to attack them. They talk about how Hirotaka is a loner and he likes playing like solo games. He doesn't like having to be like forced to play with a group. But then this beast shows up and Kabakura is like, there's no way we can take them. We have to strategize. I don't know if you all have seen the World of Warcraft Leroy Jenkins video. I was there. You all talk of the lore. I was there when it was created. What year did Leroy Jenkins come out in? That clip on World of Warcraft. When did it happen? When did that clip come on? It was in March. Oh my God. That was even long. No, it was longer before then. Let's see. Apparently, let me see here. Get the lore. Get the lore, as it were. Oh my gosh, there's a whole wiki article about it, which is crazy. So yeah, one of the most famous players or characters in World of Warcraft, became a phenomenon. Leroy's Guild admitted it was a staged promotional video, but they maintain it was essentially a faithful reenactment of a true event. I totally get that. Like at the time, it did not feel staged. It felt like a real thing. But if you told me this was a recreation, I mean, I would believe it. But it happened 2005. 2005, what a year. I was a junior in high school. The internet was just becoming a thing in the world where people could access it. Flash animation and albino black sheep ruled the screens. And we found the Leroy Jenkins clip online. And it changed the world. It changed lives. But yeah, this whole thing felt like a Leroy Jenkins moment where Narumi's like, I'm going in after the money. You guys fight amongst yourselves. She's like, I can't turn down this money drop. My one thing is, I have a better appreciation for Kabakura now, which I like. And I do feel like sometimes Kyunagi, she's so stubborn that she doesn't want to just listen to him outright, even though she ends up going along with it. So I get why he can be a little bit frustrated with her. But also, based on this episode and her talking about wanting Kabakura to be a top, the fact that he said, support my magic from the rear, I was like, is this a sexual thing where she's saying, you're not going to be a bottom, you're going to be a top? And that's like her subconsciously doing that? I'm not sure. Anyway, so I thought this whole scene was really funny. And then what made it like the icing on the cake, also the fact that Kabakura and Kyonagi's like energy against each other is the same as it was back in episode 4 is really funny. They've just transferred their like game energy to now. So that's great. But yeah, then Hirotaka shows up. But it's not Hirotaka. It is actually his brother. The moment he has like the cat face, I was like, oh my God, it's now posing as him. The joke costume is so funny. I love the fact, this is something my brother would do. My brother would trick out his character's skin in something that would be a parody. So like the tracksuit with the sash that says no work, the slippers and the sunglasses. But then he has this badass high level like bow and arrow. I was like, that seems legit. That seems to check out. That was really funny. I just love now being like, sure, I can play this game at the highest level because Hirotaka was like, well, you're probably not going to die because you're at the highest level possible. It's so funny to see now playing as the character and he's like, which one punches? I don't know what I'm doing. That would be me on Fortnite, 100%. Love it. Also, the bow and arrow looks like something from Yu-Gi-Oh! It looks like the armor on the bow looks like something that would be in like with the magical witch girl card in Yu-Gi-Oh! It looks like it would be, but I don't know. Anyway, then of course Hirotaka comes in and he's like, I'll take it out in one round. While Narumi accidentally eats all the pot. And then yeah, he takes it away and does it. It's so good. I love it. Poor Now though. Now very much has like he's just fidgeting on the bed like just somebody that's like I don't have the Now just fidgeting around being like he can't just sit still and watch the game. I've seen siblings do that, so that's really relatable. Bless his heart, poor Now. The character that Yuki Kaji plays in Ace of the Diamond, the voice that he uses for that character is kind of similar to Now. It's just the sugar factor is cranked up like 40% on that, which is really funny. So yeah, I love it. But yeah, so then we cut from the game to like, it felt like the end of a chapter, and now we get into them going out on this dinner, these 2 dinner dates. I really like the idea of Kabakura and Hirotaka taking their coworkers out to drink. That was really nice of Kabakura to buy the drinks. Really nice. And then Narumi and Hanako getting to go out and have their own dinner together. When she said heart to heart, I thought they were going to talk about like, maybe their relationships and like maybe them taking it to the next level or something like that. But no, we were going to talk about shipping, which is just equally as important. So yeah, like I said in the ED, I feel like maybe it's a cultural thing that you don't talk with your coworkers about dating a coworker. I could see why you wouldn't want it. Now, here's my thing. I understand why you wouldn't want it to get out at work that you're dating a coworker, because that can get kind of hairy. But also, I feel like in the US, people find out. There's no way to hide that you're dating somebody. People find out. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before these guys find out that they're dating Narumi and Hanako, but maybe they were just like, it's not your business, whatever. Also, I like the fact that Kabakura was not getting drunk. He was having water, which was good. He was letting them drink. And he was just gonna, like, I don't think it's sake. I think he's just having water. So yeah, this conversation with the guys is very much a you can't judge a book by its cover conversation. And I like that at first, both of them get kind of bothered by how these other guys are kind of talking about their girlfriends. But then by the end of the conversation, they're both like, yeah, hell yeah, they're our girlfriends. And I like the Kabakura is like, you probably shouldn't talk about girls that are taken, because if I was her boyfriend, I'd be really mad, which he is, but he's not trying to like make it uncomfortable around those guys, So then they talk about Narumi and about Hanako while the girls get together to talk about the anime that Kiyonagi finished. And of course, they're like, you liked the hero rival pairing. They were the best. And Narumi's like, I actually hated them. And they're like, we can never be friends because we both are rooting for the opposite couple. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I love that line. I wonder if we'll ever be able to laugh together as friends someday. No, that's fair. My best friend talks about like guy crushes all the time, and I'm just like, well, and she's like, of course. So, but yeah. So they talk about Narumi saying that she's a little childish, even though she's cute, and how it's wasted on her. And I'm like, and calling her an airhead. I was like, you could tell that Hirotaka was bothered by that, but he's like, I'm not going to say anything. It's going to be fine. But then they talk about overhearing Narumi talking about having a boyfriend and spending Christmas with him. And Hirotaka's like, well, yes, she did spend it with her boyfriend. Like, he was so moved and proud. It was really nice. Then they talk about Kiyonagi. That part was even worse. Because, like, at least Narumi, they just talk about her being cute. But they kind of like, at first they were like, oh man, Hanako, she has giant boobs. What a sexy fox. And then they were talking about like how her personality was. And Kabakura was like, you have no clue who she is. She's a good woman. Anyway, we cut back to Narumi being like, why are we always into opposite pairings? I'm like, well, you are dating two guys who are polar opposites. She's like, why don't you talk to this about Hanako, to Hirotaka? And she's like, well, he's not a yaoi fanboy or anything, but he will ask questions. And that's when Hanako says he doesn't mind talking about boys' love. And she's like, he's pretty indifferent about it. That would be something. I feel like if I was dating a guy, I don't know how they would take my collection of yaoi. I just don't know. They'd have to be okay with it. But I would not do like what Hanako did. Granted, Hanako and Kabakura are spicy people. So her reading the yaoi with all the stuff they're doing in front of him, I mean, she could cosplay as the boy character and make him be the top. I'm just saying. If she wanted to role play, they could make that work. But I do not have that courage. I would not have that courage to do that. No. I mean, it would just... my significant other would have to understand that it's something I like, but it is not necessarily like indicative of what I would want to do with them. Does that make sense? He's like, just come get me when you're done. Also, he also reads like stuff that's kind of cutesy too. So it's like, whatever. Like his stuff that he's reading looks like, I don't know if it's Yuri or if it's a couple that are heteronormative or not, but they're just like super cutesy. So... I don't know, my dude. He definitely does not seem like the type to read like the 18 plus stuff that she reads, which is interesting. She's like, that's sexual harassment. So then she asked, my phone went off, right? I had to pause the video and re-edit this because my phone went off right at the time this scene happened. She's like, the opposite would never work. And she's like, who we have? So they basically decide if Kabakura and Hirotaka were in a yaoi together, which, what a voyeuristic world, who would be the top and who would be the bottom. And of course, Narumi's like, well, Hirotaka would be the top. And Hanako's like, no, Kabakura would be the top. The funny thing is, the two guys they like and are in relationships with are the tops in their mind. That makes sense. So, but they're like, no, no, no. And the funny thing is they're kind of voyeuristically putting themselves in the position of where the other is. So I just love the fact that they're arguing about this, and now when the others walking by could hear them, that's amazing. So they talk about Koyanagi. We cut back to them. They're like, you don't understand what's nice about Koyanagi. She's elegant, cool, and mature. Meanwhile, Kabakura is like, yeah, no, actually she's short-tempered and panicky and likes dirty jokes just like a little boy. He's like, I know her better than you guys do. And they're like, oh, well, she works hard, finishes her work, and is reliable. And he's like, no, she works really fast through it and makes a lot of mistakes. And they're like, well, she always has big boobs. When the guys were like, yeah, I look at him, Hirotaka's like looking back at Kabakura like, are you okay with this? And he's like, let's not talk about this anymore. And so Narumi's like, well, you like Kabakura, right? The guy you like goes on the bottom. And she's like, you might be like that, but I'm different. And I think that ties a lot to yaoi being kind of a self-insert for some women, where there's lots of reasons women read yaoi. There's lots of reasons, but a lot of it is like equality amongst the pairings, unlike, a lot of heteronormative romances. And I like the fact that in this case, they're both kind of putting them in the place of the bottom. And they're like, well, the person you like goes in the bottom. And it's like, well, I'm different. Or you could be like somebody that wants to dominate, and then you put the person you like in the bottom. It's from a different perspective. It only turns me on if the pretty guy is the bottom. Well, don't say that in front of Kabakura. What about you? Hirotaka's your boyfriend. She's like, Kabakura looks cooler, so he goes on the bottom. And she's like, don't say that in front of him. Don't give him that satisfaction. So yeah, then they talk about Koyanagi having a boyfriend. And they're like, well, a real man would pick Koyanagi. And he's like, let's not talk about this anymore. I love how strict Kabakura looks in that one shot. I love that. I love these like, it's great. He's like, if you want a girlfriend, why don't you go after girls without boyfriends? I was like, oof. And Hirotaka's like, smooth. You're not obvious at all. So, and then Narumi's trying to be like, Hirotaka is a pretty good guy as the guy on top. He'd tease Kabakura without showing any emotions, And he's a cool dominant type, a guy on top in glasses, which is how she views him in their relationship. And then Koyanagi's like, no. Kabakura's clumsy kindness is going to melt Nefuji's cold heart. Well, she's like Nefuji, so that's why she wants Kabakura on top. Like, it's funny to see them both do this. It's great. The older guy who helps out on top. This is classic. She's like, but it's normal to have younger guys on top. And Hirotaka's taller, so it'd look better. Well, taller guys go on bottom, right? I just love that they're just na-na-na-na, and then we find out that Now heard it. It's great. Now, when we saw the comeback, I was expecting for Hanako and for Narumi to like meet up with them and then walk home with them, but they really just act like they're friends and they're not that close. So it must be a cultural thing and they just don't want people to know that they're dating. But it was super cute when Narumi like looked at Hirotaka as she was leaving and he was like, all right, super cute. So yeah, then we have our end scene where Nao's like, hey, I went to the diner and I saw your girlfriend and Hanako and they were talking about, you being on top or something. Like, what's going on? And of course, Hirotaka knows exactly what they're talking about. Now has no clue. He is a precious angel baby, not privy to anything. And Hirotaka's like, so that's what they were talking about. That checks. Ah! I love it. I love that Hirotaka is sharp and on point. Mm-hmm. He's like, you might have misunderstood. If you really knew. If only you knew now. So yeah, that was such a cute episode. I really enjoyed this episode. I liked the idea of them all getting to kind of defend their lovers in conversation with one another. That part was really, really good. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts below about this episode. So this series is so cute, but next week is episode 8, y'all. Next week is the rule of 8. And I'm so excited about that. If you don't know what the rule of 8 is, you will find out next week on my channel. In the meantime, I'm excited to hear what you all think down below of this episode, of their conversations, and who should be on top. At this point, I don't think it matters. I think it could be Hirotaka or Kabakura, honestly. You know what? If I had to pick who has more top energy, that's so hard. It's apples and oranges. But if they were stuck together, I'd probably put Hirotaka on top. But that's just me. So I think it'd be more fun to tease Kabakura if he was a bottom, but they're both clearly tops in this world, in these relationships. So we'll see. But unless Kiyanagi and Kabakura do some kinky things, which I'm not putting it past them. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm back very soon with more of Wotakoi Love is Hard for an Otaku. And I'll see you then.